shy boom boom, shy boom boom, shy boom boom. Make one bush here, me there, mono. I wish you are free, Yadame, ya for. Maybe I need to me, Nante, as I see, swear.
Living without limbs can be frustrating. If you put your disability behind you and work yourself out of that shell, nothing can hinder you from attaining the highest heights that you dreamt of. The task of deciding the future of this armless girl rested on a very traumatized mother. According to the United Nations 2018 report, persons with disabilities continue to face numerous barriers to their full inclusion and participation in the life of their communities. African societies treat such deformed children differently. Some of them are abandoned in the bush. They expect the child to die through exposure to cold and hunger, and in extreme cases, to be eaten by dogs and other wild animals. In the typical African society, every strange occurrence is subjected to a spiritual interpretation, and the society is quick to pass judgment on the affected family. The traditional and religious leaders in Ghana usually associate such births with the supernatural and devise ways of killing them.
When a child is born with birth defect, they see it as a sign of bad omen. They say that, if they don't get rid of the child, those children will grow and then will trouble spiritually the living.
But is disability a supernatural phenomenon? What is disability?
Disability is anybody who is not able to perform his functions adequately due to either an impairment of the senses, vision, smell, taste, and movement.
The Catholic Association of Media Practitioners Ghana, CAMGE, set out to explore and showcase the limitless possibilities that some of our brothers and sisters without limbs have achieved or are working to achieve. We visited the Orthopedic Training Center at Nsawam to find out the cause of the disabilities that bring people to the center.
Well, what causes disability are many things. Some children are born disabled, as Enyonam was born with the absence of arms. We have children here that were born without arms, without legs. But we also have children that have become disabled because of road accidents, because of Buruli ulcer, because of cancer. And formerly in the old days, it was also because of snake bites, and we don't get too much of that nowadays.
One lady, Enyonam Louisa Ansa, braced all odds to make an impact wherever she found herself. Today, Enyonam is a professional teacher living at Amanfro Hene at Otuase in the eastern region of Ghana, and is currently the head teacher at the Orthopedic Training Center Basic School at Eduijiri near Nsawam.
I am Louisa Enyonam Ansa. A day after my birth, my father showed up. He wasn't in the house when I was born, but when he came and found out that I was born armless and a little bit short than normal children, he packed his things and left the house.
The Department of Social Welfare, which intervened 6 years after her birth, handed her over to the Orthopedic Training Center of the Catholic Church.
When people heard of me in this town, they started trooping in the center to have a look at me. So I decided, okay, then it will be better for me to join the local school. I also didn't like the center because it seems almost all of us are disabled. It makes you think otherwise.
After her primary education, the Orthopedic Center sent Louisa to the St. Martin Senior High School. Her life at training college allowed her to blend properly into society. The Sisters of St. Louis did not give her preferential treatment, but made her share facilities with her able-bodied colleagues. Louisa's first teaching appointment took her back to her roots.
I was teaching at the JSS for 11 and a half years.
When the nursery division of the Catholic primary school needed an experienced teacher to help restore the confidence of parents in the school, the church asked her to step in. Hundreds of children have passed through her hands. For these little children, the experience of an armless teacher leaves indelible marks on their minds and helps them to appreciate the gifts they are endowed with.
I met teacher Louisa at KG1. She is a fine woman.
Louisa's determination to transform her disability positively has known no bounds. She is always ready to challenge herself and go beyond any limits. Louisa has placed her services at the disposal of humanity by reversing traditional roles with the able-bodied persons in her community.
For my part, I've seen that he has paid some school fees to some of my children.
Kwesi Yirenchi and Pius Dogoji are living with forms of disability, but this does not in any way deter them from achieving their life's dreams.
Kwesi Yirenchi Boatin is my name, a development communication specialist, a volunteer of the NCHS, National Catholic Health Service, a member of CAMGIN. I think I was 13 years. I was in the village with my mom, and I was a stubborn boy then. So because of that, I was posted back to Accra to have the feel of my father's training, so that he put the fear of the Lord in me. We were in this shift system, so I was going for the afternoon shift that very day.
But I went to climb the Indian almond tree to take some fresh air, but fell and had a fracture on both arms. After I was transferred to Kolebu, the right limb was amputated.
But it came to a time that my senior brother, who is our elderly brother, that is Peter Charles Dogoji, he said that no, I can still go to school, because whilst I was in the house, I do draw. I'm very good at drawing. So he decided to help me to read and write. So he bought me a book. And he himself, after school, he would sit me down and teach me some few lines. So gradually, I said, no, I think you can make it to school.
It is sad that people with disabilities in Ghana are often regarded as unproductive and incapable of contributing in a positive way to society. Instead of identifying their unique gifts and giving them the support to develop, they are rather seen as constituting an economic burden on the family and the society at large, which leaves them in a vicious cycle of poverty.
Going back to school to mingle with my old friends, I think it was a bit of a challenge there. I sometimes felt shy. They always looking at me here and there and all those things. And I remember also weeping once when one of the ladies, I think she was ahead of me. In fact, she should have been my classmate, but because of the accident and because I needed to readjust, I had to start using the left hand to practice again. So because of that, I had to come back to GSS 1 instead of GSS 3. So because of this, she had gone up, and I remember her telling me that, why don't you use your right hand to pick that? And I felt sad at that time. I think that was the first time I wept over my incident.
At first, I myself didn't want to even mingle with people because of people who see me and try to imitate how I walk, how I do things. And I feel very, 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 very uncomfortable sometimes to go out to play with such people. But what encouraged me was the church.
I was there one day when somebody came from the office, said, Madam, the director said we should stop teaching come down and be with the sewing department. And I said, what is the reason? And then I was told that somebody went and reported me that they saw my teaching, which is not good. I have no choice. At that time, I had to be sent to the life skills department.
The examination council have no any provisions for people with disability. They will treat you just like an ordinary student. So that's a bitter experience that I had. But I didn't get discouraged. I took the initiative myself because since there's no one to help me, I went to WAEC when I registered for the mass, and I went to see the director that this is my problem. Not that I'm not good. Look at my grades. They are all good, but except this. So what can she do to help me? So she arranged, when I registered, she arranged, and that paper, I wrote it in her office in a different outlook, and I was able to make it.
Father Campbell shares with us his sad experiences of how some members of society treat those living with some form of disability.
I'm a Catholic priest, a divine word missionary priest, and I was ordained to follow Christ and to do what Christ did. What did Christ do? He healed the sick, he healed the lepers. I've been with lepers since 1976, and look at me, I'm fine. I put my hands around them, I hug them, I shake hands with them, I do all of this. So it's ignorance. People need education, to be educated on leprosy and on other diseases, disability and the rest. I remember one time a whole group of judges came out to visit the lepers. And I said to them, let's go and shake hands with all the lepers. They said, Father, next time we'll do that. And this one case of the lady that was had gangrenous leg and needed amputation above the knee. And when we brought it to hospital, and the doctor says, amputation above the knee. And here, Father, here's the file. Go and find her a bed. Now, why should I have to find her a bed? He's a surgeon in charge, and this is his ward. And then when I went to the ward, then the nursing sister in charge gives me a whole sermon on leprosy, as if I didn't know. I just kept quiet. We were brought to this small room, a side ward. There were two people there already, one empty bed. By the time we got back, she had sacked all in that room because she didn't want anybody in the room with the leper. She was many years cured. And then bringing her down to the X-ray unit. And as soon as he saw the folder, wage leprosarium, then they said, X-ray unit is spoiled. There's a problem, so come back another day. I have a big bus, cured lepers for wager. Last year, for the exams, and they needed a bus to bring them from Christ the King to Elwak Stadium. The parents did not want the children to sit in that bus because they were afraid the children would get leprosy. Instead, he went and he hired a bus instead of the one that was available for them. So they were just ignorant.
The Catholic Church in Ghana over the years is involved in various ministries with those living with disability.
The church, in its own evangelization, mission to humanity, carrying on the work of Christ Jesus, who came to pronounce what you call the year of favor for the poor. His word was for the poor, the downtrodden, brokenhearted, all this. So the church is called to continue this ministry of Christ Jesus to reach people of this sort who are suffering in one way or the other. And of course, as I mentioned, many forms of suffering and at the same time forms of disability. If we bring life to these people, we encourage people who are suffering disability of one kind or the other. Concretely in Ghana, you would know very well, we have this orthopedic center in Saom that serves the whole country. And of course, we also have another one at Dwayne Kwanta, serving the whole country. People come from everywhere to access health services at these places. And of course, apart from this, our hospitals, so many of them in the country, are serving people of need, especially where health is concerned. So the church is concretely involved in bringing life to people to make them feel included.
We have in Wage at the moment, we've one artist, John is his name, and he has that gift. And this, he's painted so many pictures. We brought one recently to the former president, J.J. Rawlings, a beautiful one. And last year he painted one of the vice president's wife. These people have potential. There's another man in Wage and he sings. So there is potential in them. But now that they're getting old and they're being discouraged or one thing or the other, they're just sitting there. We taught them how to make soap. I taught them how to make the, rugs and things. But people wouldn't buy them. They wouldn't buy them because they say, if we buy this, we get leprosy. So the soap we couldn't sell.
A research that I conducted some few years ago, I realized that those who are on the street, sometimes you don't blame them so much. It's the society. I will blame the society because I've learned that most of them, some are trained in dressmaking, various level of vocation. But hardly before society takes things to them to sew, especially the dressmakers. They don't believe in what that particular person can sew. And I know some few who can sew very well, but because of they don't get support, especially people bringing their things to them to sew, they end up on the streets.
They need, people should find them work, people should help them in every way. We need to look after them so they don't go hungry. And they stop this begging on the streets. And everybody is a child of God. And if you're a child of God, you are special. And I quoted from Genesis chapter 1:27, you're made in the image of God. I quoted from Ephesians chapter 2, verse 10, you are God's work of art. So if you're God's work of art, you're special. So they shouldn't look down on themselves. And they shouldn't feel that they are second class. There's more ability in them than disability. And they should look at the ability they have, not the disability. So if they can see what they can do, what Enyinam can do, what this man can do, it's amazing. The ability is greater and is stronger than the disability which they have.
It's not easy being a person with a disability, especially not a situation whereby you had it through an accident or you've actually lived this life before and now you are now living like this. I feel those going through my situation should be given the psychosocial support first and then the social support.
To parents out there, as already said, disability is not inability or liability. Disabled doesn't mean that you are not able. When you look at the Bible tells us that God is able God. So therefore, when you look up to God, you are also able. So my parents shouldn't see their children who has a disability as a useless person. Something good can come out from that particular person.
With our different disability, we have different capabilities. So if one way or the other, a disabled person is able to make it in one way, another person can also do it in a different way, which is also going to be successful.
Well, our society thinks that it is the money aspect and then the sympathy that persons with physical disabilities need. But it isn't much of that we need. It is the respect and then the trust that we could also do something even in our situation. So yes, give us the challenge and then the trust and then respect that we are equally human beings and we are capable of also delivering.
They shouldn't doubt that he cannot make it. Be in education or any job environment or any level of education, they should try and then help such a child, because that child can be a support to the society and the family as well, just like I've been a support to my family and the society. So my parents, it will be good to support your disability child. Many
of our children who are differently able, To access school is very, very difficult for them because most of our schools are not disability friendly. So when they go to school, they don't feel comfortable in the schools that they are. Sometimes the area is hilly and so forth. And you see, anytime they do something according to their ability, and then let's say they fall, the way they feel for them, we are not interested in that. We want the society to leave us to also try our abilities.
Enyonam was going to be disposed of. Now, if she had been disposed of, we wouldn't have Enyonam today, and she has done fantastic things with her life.
The exploits of Enyonam attracted the attention of the state. In recognition of her inspiration to society, the state awarded her with Ghana's highest honors, a Grand Award, for outstanding virtues and in appreciation of services to Mother Ghana in the field of education. The president at the time, John Ejekum Kufuor, presented her with the award at a national ceremony. Her remarkable feats won her another award in the education category at the 2019 edition of the MTN Heroes of Change.
These are the children that are living with me in the house. They are the ones I'm starting a school with. But because I've not started a school yet, they are attending the nearby regular school, which is near the Orthopedics Training Center. I'm appealing to all of you to assist me put up a disability-friendly school for more of those who cannot access the regular school.
To the church, I'll say there's a lot we have to do. I once felt so hurt when I went to church. I was during the sign of peace. One lady sitting by me, I extended my hand to greet, and she's an elderly woman. How she behaved, I didn't actually sit down well with me, but I said, well, that's one of it. So I see some of these things in cars and all those things. Some people don't want to near you and all those things, as if I am a cursed child or something of that sort. But hey, this is life. We don't know what tomorrow will bring.
The bill that was passed 13 years ago, Bill 2006, the talks of access for disabled people. You know, it was just last week in the whole middle page of the graphic. There was a whole article on disability and how people are suffering these days. They cannot get onto buses, you know, they want to get on the bus, or if they're on the bus, where they sit. And if they want to go to the bathroom, how they've got to disturb everybody, all sorts of problems there. So we need to take the bill seriously.
The advice that I can give to especially the society and my brothers and sisters who end up on the street, that they shouldn't give up. Even if they are not getting it, so far as they can get what they can depend on that particular moment, they shouldn't get discouraged. They should try and strive hard. And one day, if they do it very well, they will be able to make it. And the society too, they should make the environment conducive for people with the disabilities. I'm not saying that they shouldn't give them the money per se, but that money that you give it to such a person will not end up anywhere. But when you be able to identify one person, maybe his family was not able to push him to educate himself just like me. When you take that particular person from the street and you give him a training, he will be a beneficial to the society as a whole.
There are people God has himself gifted in one way or the other. We all are created in the image and likeness of God. This is the basic gift God has given to all humanity. Whatever form we are, whether we have some disability or not, this imprint of the divine in us makes human beings special. And that is why the disadvantage in our society, and today you talk of the people with living with disability, they need to be respected the respect, because they have that divine imprint right from the beginning. And so the church's mission to people with disability is also to make other people realize that they are fully fledged, full-fledged human beings like all of us. And so we all must give the same respect we give to other people, we have to give to people with disability.
The experiences shared in this documentary should encourage people living with disability that they can make it. It is time government and the appropriate authorities ensure that the Persons with Disability Act 2006 Act 715 is enforced. Otherwise, as the saying goes, a law without enforcement is just an advice.